Bunnies, 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 running bunnies, running bunnies, run bunnies, run. No wonder there's so many foxes here. Saw a lot of foxes the other day. Beautiful day. Get up on this ridge. Be able to capture the sunset on the way back. It's kind of up already. I feel like I'm... Hey, look, the flag's back up. It's not half-mast anymore. Parents dropping their kids off at school. It's a great day today. There we go. Look at that. It's kind of bright, huh? I gotta screw up the light now. Big old long shadows. Sprinklers. What a great day. Wow, what to do today? Plan out the day. I wonder if there's music. I need to check the music. I tried to try something different. I wonder if there's music. I need to check the music. I tried to try something different. I wonder if there's music. I need to check. Huh. Music seems kind of loud. I tried something new today. I'm looking to be out for a little bit. I tried to put music in the background since it's doing OBS. I tried to put music in the background since it's doing OBS. I tried to put music in the background. No weird kind of music though. It must be like, you see these tire marks here every morning? I wonder what these are about. Yeah, they're always here. I think they use these roads for drag racing and stuff, or some sort of racing. I really do like this. I think May is my favorite month. I don't know, I like August too, but in North Carolina anyway. August, there's still a lot of mosquitoes and stuff. more bugs showing up lately. That's for sure. Get it to unlock the white balance. It's definitely do something with the white balance. I think I probably want to auto lock that. See what I'm saying? Like the EV automatic exposure stuff. Makes it really dark versus just having it be set. Let me turn around. You ever have that thing where you talk so much for so many days, you're like, I'm out of talking, I don't have anything to talk about, just want to walk. That's how I feel. The colors are just so amazing right now though. Switch back to linear mode. Wide had that fisheye thing going on. I think I like it better. I'm gonna go all the way to the end of this and back. Just the sound of it. We're going off to work. Yeah, I'll leave the music off next time. Because there's just so many beautiful sounds, you know? The birds. Doesn't really need music to go with it. I hated Maverick. I went and saw Maverick yesterday. It was horrible. I hated it. I wish I'd never wasted the money. It was only $10, but basically just a celebration of Tom Cruise. Some of the shots were so funny. They were like, this one guy thinks that Tom Cruise might never see him again, so they freeze on his face and they just show Tom Cruise's face, and they show this guy just staring into Tom Cruise's eyes. You're like, okay, are you gonna kiss him or something? It's like kind of inconvenient. It's like, I can just see Tom Cruise directing, okay, now, you're never gonna see this man again. So I want you to have all that emotion. I want you to dwell on that moment and stare into his eyes like you're not gonna see him again. Oh, it's so funny. And seriously, they like made an entire scene. They made an entire scene where it was just Tom Cruise. And like they made one scene like for no reason whatsoever. Tom Cruise has to wear formal Navy attire. I'm like, okay. But they had this thing, and it's like at a pub. It's like at a pub or something. I can't remember. It was so silly. We're gonna dress. It's like, because he sees David Miscavige. It's from Scientology. He's always dressing up in his Scientology uniform. Tom Cruise is like, God, I want a Scientology uniform. I don't have a Scientology uniform. Well, we'll make a movie about you being in the Navy, since Scientology is the Navy, right? And then you can dress in your formals, and we'll make this absolutely random award that we're going to give you because we want you to be the best Scientologist you can be. And then you can say, hey, look at this purple medal that I have from Scientology. John Travolta doesn't have one of those. Only Tom Cruise has that special award. Oh God, it's so funny. The cult of Tom Cruise. I'm going to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. There's like too many cool things to talk about that would spoil. But if anybody else has seen it, we have to talk about it later. There's actually more important things to think about on this nice peaceful walk besides that. Obviously, there's more important things than that with Maverick. I will say that I always love how the bad guys in the Top Gun movies are like, you never see their faces because we're gonna murder them. Every one of them has training and lives, and Tom's all bent up, about a shape. He can't resolve the fact that he killed his wingman on accident, and it wasn't his fault and he was exonerated, but it doesn't matter, he was still dead, he still. And I'm like, he dwells so much on the life of this wingman of his, but when it comes to taking out the enemy who has a family just like that, he doesn't give a shit, because you have to be focused. Which I understand. I mean, if you're a military person, it's also like if you're a doctor, it's like, it's just a piece of meat we're cutting on. At some point, if they think if it's a human, they would go crazy. That's why I could never do it. That's why I could never do it. I could never be a doctor. I never could. I could never be a doctor, and I could never be like one of these people, because I would be unable to like dismiss myself from their humanity. I mean, they say you get used to it eventually. Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't know if I could do it though. I just don't. I don't know if I could do it. You know. But there's like something. I mean, I guess in war, at a certain point, you see so many people die, like World War II or something. You know. So. I don't know if that makes me like a bleeding heart liberal hippie or whatever, but I still, I don't know, I would just be too hard. If I knew, look, I knew that if I wrote bad code, somebody would die, which I suppose is true in some cases, like in the Camry case, right? I think it would change everything. I mean, I don't know if I could take the stress. I want to think I could. The crazy thing is that the applications where people actually will die have tons of bugs with them. People who write the code don't give a shit. And it's like they don't really think about it or whatever. Because, you know, they're doing it for a pharma company or some medical instrumentation company or whatever. I don't know. Oh my God, it smells so good right here. Oh, someone's got a fire going. Oh, I don't know if they're like burning leaves or... Oh, I have to just smell that. It smells so good. It smells exactly like what you think it would smell like. The great thing about being in this area in North Carolina, if you come out early enough like this, it feels like you're camping even though you're in an apartment. It does. It's so gorgeous. So beautiful. Gotta start making room for more yoga during the day too. I might do yoga at night. I'm thinking I might do yoga at night. You know why? Because I think it'll wake me up. And I just read a thing from a recent medical study that said, tentatively, there's a discovery that says, on the whole, men burn more fat at night when they work out, and women do in the morning. I don't know if there's anything to it, but worth a try. I don't know what you think about that. That'd be kind of... I mean, burning fat is not like the primary indicator of fitness, but... I need to get some muscle building stuff. Man, walking is good and all, and actually it does really build muscles in your legs and ass and stuff, but you need push-ups and planks and yoga for the other stuff, I think you do. I don't think you can just get by without it. And I'm just going to say it. As you get older... I saw a fox in our parking lot at 3 a.m. yesterday. Or was it 2 days ago? It was so awesome. It was a red fox. Not to be confused with the actor from the 1970s. How's it going? What about paddleboarding? Martin's memory, how are you? Oh, I have resistance bands. Yeah. I have a body weight thing. I'm a big fan of body weight exercise. I know what to do. I've thought about maybe doing some kettlebells too, trying that. I'm a big fan of free weight and body weight exercises, not just the CrossFit stuff, but yoga is actually pretty much all the strength training you need if you do it right, and if you do Ashtanga, and if you do the jump backs in the middle. You end up doing like something like 80 push-ups if you do it. If you do like if you do the transitions in yoga between the poses, you do kind of a push-up, a burpee kind of push-up in between everyone. So you end up kind of doing that. Yeah. That's nice and that's pretty. Yeah. Yeah, resistance bands are temporary, and I just need more core stuff. I am a firm believer in a firm core because it's what holds all your guts in. Keeps you from getting a pot belly. If your ab muscles get weak, if your core muscles get weak, and that's, by the way, that's not just your abs, right? That's like your diaphragm and all the connecting tissues inside of your abdomen, like deep inside your abdomen. That's core too. When that stuff, the reason I look so good in yoga, I'm convinced, is because I had really strong internal core muscles as well as the rest, and it just holds all your shit together. Holds it all in. What's the best way to use gRPC over rest? I don't think that's a thing. You didn't get to see those ones freelance? A rush job someday, that would be fun. Yeah. I mean, hell, if you can get paid for Rust and you like it, why not do it? Of course, it's not my thing, but that's what I think. I think I should do it. I'm going to turn around. This dog guy is going to... This guy doesn't know with his dogs. I don't want to mess with his zen. This is what I'm going to do every day. I'm going to start my day with walk. With just a walk. I'm just going to go wake my body up and walk about 20-30 minutes. It depends on if I eat first. You know, when you get up, you have about 20 minutes of like just kind of free. It's called starvation mode. Your body's like. But after that, if you don't eat, your body will go into starvation mode. So you do kind of have to eat something. You don't want your body going into starvation mode. That's really, really bad. That's when it will eat holes in your kidneys and shit. Because it doesn't have enough calories. It thinks it's dying. My body thinks it's dying all the time. I fucking hate it. I coded it to do that though. Because I was eating every 3 hours or so as a triathlete. Small meals every 3 hours. And now for some reason my body's kind of hard coded to do that all the time. If I don't do it, I have trouble. I think, you know, the health habits you get into when you're young, you gotta be careful because I don't know, I don't have any science to prove this, but I think you kind of code your body to react a certain way. You know, the chemicals in it, the fauna and everything. And once you dial it in and it's reacting the same way, as long as you keep with it, you're good. But if you change anything, that's why so many athletes become just like really big afterwards. How many athletes have you seen that were like super svelte, including Hollywood actors, by the way, because they're basically athletes because they have to work out constantly to stay in good shape to look like whatever, you know. And all of a sudden they stop. That's my dad. You should see my dad as a gymnast. Oh my God. But then he didn't do gymnastics anymore. Got a desk job doing engineering. You know. So yeah. My go-to is a morning walk if you want to be productive. Yeah. gRPC and rest are two different things, by the way, Lego logic. I don't think they go together. I don't know, but I don't think they go together. gRPC is like a very high, I think it's a stateful protocol. In other words, you keep a connection open, right? I don't know though. So, Eric, how are you? Oh yeah, the arena was fun. Yeah, I made lots of video on that. I had to cancel my credit card though. Yeah. I'm learning a lot of streamer lessons the hard way. I mean, obviously I knew not to stream my credit card. I went to go to a movie last night. Normally I turn the stream off when I do any credit card transaction because it's like, you know. But sometimes I feel like, oh, hey, this transaction is kind of fun to see. You know, what people say. Oh, John Deere. John Deere. And then yesterday, I even said it, and I was like, hey, I'm so happy, you know, they don't put all the information on the front anymore. They put it, you know, all on the back so you can be safe. And then I passed the card right in front of the camera. I immediately canceled it. I called in and canceled. There's an app you can get for the bank that you can turn it off and you can block all transactions immediately. You just push a button and it blocks all transactions. Just checking. Kids reading was awesome. West would be fun. Bigger projects. Have I applied for TopTal? Yeah. Coding challenge for entry filter with 3 tasks, 2 normal programming tasks, and 1 LeetCode task. Could do LeetCode, but it looks like a sufficient interview in a few days. You know, 10X, I'm super interested in your story here because you're going into the. I've stopped pretending to be qualified to tell people how to prepare for software jobs. I've never really said I was. I've had software jobs, but that's why I took the boost and I stopped saying, okay, this is going to prepare you to become, you know, a kick-ass software engineer. That's the term they use. I hate it. Because it's such a fucking different industry. Just software development is a totally different industry from operations. It's so different. And the way people hire, their methods of interviewing, the culture, it's all different. So I'm just done with it. I'm just done with it. There's lots of other people that prepare you well for a software job, particularly web dev. You know? I mean, because I can't believe that they wouldn't hire you. I mean, you're like, you know all that coding stuff, but they're basing it on something completely different, you know? Like Code of Clash. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. One of the reasons I want to hear your story is because it's kind of confirming everything I've always thought about software development as an industry. It's full of pretentious assholes who think you have to know all of this stuff to make something. And it's also full of people who don't know shit, who got in there somehow, who made everybody else paranoid about hiring bad. So at some point, I don't know what happened to the software dev industry, but especially given all the tech cuts right now, you cannot pay me enough to go for a software job right now. Hell no. Hell no, I don't want anything to do with software development. I'll do software development and operations, but I don't want to do it as a part of like a thing. Minute JavaScript project in a C++ app with CMake, and I don't have much experience with this. They had you doing CMake? Good. Better fit candidate. Yeah, somebody who did a lot of JavaScript. Yeah. And that's the whole point, that people consider JavaScript development, software development, just is a big part of the problem. Torvalds won't even call it development. He won't. He refuses. He's like, you're not a developer if you fuck around with JavaScript all day. And obviously he's wrong, but oh, we got a doggy coming to investigate. Yeah, I don't like JavaScript either. It probably would come oozing out of my nostrils. I mean, I like JavaScript syntax, but it's not even, it's concurrent, but it's not truly concurrent, right? It's async. I don't understand why JavaScript is still a thing. I mean, I get the web is a thing and it's going to be a thing for a long time, but JavaScript is not going to support the future of software development, period. It's just not going to. TypeScript is now the standard. Everybody's moving to it. If they have something that has to run in the front end, but JavaScript on the back end is, people are even going back to Python on the back end. I just saw another project. They were like kicking out JavaScript on the back end, they're kicking Node out and replacing it with Python and something. Like whatever. Take one non-concurrent language and replace it with another non-concurrent language. Great idea. Meanwhile, the new fastest and biggest supercomputer ever invented was made in America. America now has the fastest supercomputer ever made. Was it like 9 million operations per second, I think it was? Crazy. Oh, and it had something like, what was it, 38,000 cores? Well, we don't need concurrency. We'll just have a semaphore and we'll just make an event-driven thing. I mean, look, it's kind of funny, but I almost think we're in a post-event-driven world now. Look, event-driven saved us. Event-driven saved us for a long time, right? I just lost a bunch of viewers. For saying web developers aren't developers. Seriously, like 4 people just stormed out of the room. Oh my God. I went from like 13 or 14 people down to 9. Oh, it warms the cockles of my heart. Oh my God, that guy is hating on JavaScript again. Oh. Let's back up a little. Don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. Sometimes it's funny because every once in a while I'll say a rant or something, and like there's like a substantial drop. The few times I've actually gone back and looked at the stats, I'm like, wow, what did I do right there? And it's actually sometimes like when Leon came on or something, which is fantastic. I want people to go watch him because he won't stigmatize JavaScript or anything. He'll just teach you what's going to get you a job, which I love. Oh, I'm having a good day. I'm already having a good day. This is why I have to go for a walk. Like, I'm laughing. I'm laughing. I think you should start the day with laughter. And birdies singing you music. And the random vehicle almost running you over. All of those things are metaphorical. They remind you of life. There's always something willing to sing to you and make you feel happy. Something is about to kill you. You gotta get over your fear. And the fresh oxygen air is always there if you just stop and breathe it in, right? How's that? Oh man, look at that camper. That's an awesome camper. I'm motivated to like trick out my Subaru now. I'm getting ready for the great on the road work. Bonjour, Monsieur Rob. Il y a des personnes qui parlent français là. What do you think of the future of Golang? Skeptical of the fact that it is covering C and C++, but most C++ devs do not need to scope and Go. Wow, but did I reach space like the Pi did? All the compute power can even do as simple as having a Pi. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the Golang thing. I got a few minutes here. So first of all, hey, there's a rooster. First of all, Go is closer to Python than it is C. Even though Rob Pike called it a modern C, it's not really. The uses of Go are closer to the uses of Python than they are, and Java, than they are C. It just so happens to be compatible with C and it'll compile down to C. There is no way in hell Go is going to replace C or C++. It's just not. It's not targeted at that. There are C++ applications that are basically totally application-based apps that don't need to be multi-threaded and have garbage collection and all that stuff. That don't need to be highly performant, and so pretty much the entire cloud native space is owned by Go. So if you're going to judge Go, by their fruits you shall know them. I need to get the quote. It's a Bible verse. So Go is used for Docker, Containerd, Podman, Kubernetes, Helm, Ethereum. It's in the application space. You know, Go actually really strongly overrides Perl. It's like if you were going to write something in Perl or Bash or Python, Go is your friend. Rust might replace C, C++, yeah. Rust could. Rust has the potential to if it can get its act together. But right now its governance is like all over the map. I don't think it's going to happen. It doesn't have a big company pushing it that's like really fostering it. And people call that a liability for Go all the time. I'm like, no. Nope. You need companies to kind of adopt and foster these open source projects to kind of help them along. That's what Canonical did for Ubuntu. You know, Google did it for Go. I know that's a very non-FOSS way to think. I don't care. If you look at everything that succeeded in the open source space, it all had a foundation or a collection of companies behind it. Everything. Because they need money. Oh my God, there needs to be money to pay developers to work on software. How dare I say such a thing? I mean, there's a lot of developers who code in their free time, but they're either not good at it or they're not able to put enough time into it because they have to feed their family. That's like the biggest lie free and open source software is shitting on everybody. This is seriously, it's the biggest fucking lie ever. And the sooner you get over that lie, the better. Otherwise, they wouldn't use Rust. That's what I agree. I agree completely with that. Stracker, yes. Somebody said it the other day. They're hiring based on what they think developers are going to want to do. So, and this is a very real thing, and we can't ignore it. Companies have to make decisions about whether they're going to be able to hire developers. Before, I read a blog of the stupidest company in the world that had already started porting all of their code base to Go, and they went back to TypeScript because they couldn't get JavaScript. They couldn't get Go programmers. It was clearly the right architectural decision, but because they couldn't find anybody, like, no, fuck that. We're going to hire based on who. We're going to change our corporate architecture. I mean, if you know anything about Agile and software design, you know, you don't talk about implementation details early. You talk about how the system's going to work, and then you start picking the tools and technologies to do the system. You know, completely agnostic, and it's actually one of the biggest challenges for any engineer. Engineers are frequently in the middle of these meetings, like these high-level business analyst, meetings. They will get pulled down into the details. Oh, okay, I'll do that in this, and I'll do that in that. And the architects have to pull them out of the weeds and go, no, we're not ready for design implementation yet. We're just talking about how the system's going to work. And it's super important that you don't talk about implementation. Why is that relevant? Because that is exactly the opposite of what this company did. This company said, okay, we think this is the right technology for the thing, but we can't hire any people, so we're going to go spot. It's like worse. There's companies like, well, we have Java programmers, so let's build something with Java. And maybe that's fine. I mean, maybe at a certain point, you know. What's la vie sur Go? And many Go talkers. Most dev languages? No. Go. Oh, shit. What the fuck was that? Sorry, guys. I had like a horsefly bite me on the shoulder. You're just sitting there, just hanging out. Why do I smell like a horse? God, I hope that didn't go through too bad. Anyway, that hurt. Why the fuck is he even out here? Do I smell rosy or some shit? Maybe it was the electronic signals. Maybe that was it. Yeah. I know they could have taught TypeScript programmers, but they didn't. The idea that they're going to try to build an application based on who they can get to code, and that there actually exists a developer who is just a TypeScript developer, think about that for a second. How many things are there wrong with all that decision-making process? I mean, it's like, okay, first false assumption. If you're a developer, you only know one language. I'm sorry, you do not get to call yourself a developer if you only code if you're a one fucking trick pony. If you can only code in one language, you are not a developer. I'm sorry. I'm going to put my foot down there. I mean, you don't get to call yourself a developer if you only know one language and you can't learn another language. I mean, if that company had half a clue, second false assumption, your TypeScript programmers don't want to actually learn Go. Did you even ask them? And by the way, if you did hire a bunch of programmers who call themselves developers, who only code in TypeScript, who aren't willing to learn Go in order to do your project, you have bigger problems in your company. Because your entire hiring process is bullshit. Because you've only hired one-trick ponies instead of software developers. You need to like filter them out. I mean, how stupid is that? How stupid is that? I just don't even have words. But there's companies like that. There's companies that do that. You know, it's like, the reason I love Go, and this is very objective, and believe me, there's stuff about Go I fucking hate, and I will tell you that. If there's one thing about me, I will not bullshit you. And if you have better evidence, I will listen to what you have to say. I promise you I'll do that. It might take me a while to come around, but I'll listen to what you have to say. And I think everybody should do that. I wish people would do that instead of getting all married to their favorite language and then, you know, how dare you say something bad about my language. It's like, it's not a religion, dude. You're a dudette. So, and then the idea that they would like change their entire architecture. Problem number 3, they chose their entire application architecture based on what their programmers can do. That's just so stupid. That's literally the opposite of choosing the best tool for the job. I mean, imagine a construction site doing that. Well, our construction company only has people who know how to TIG weld. Or how about a welding company? My wife's been doing a lot of welding lately. We only have welders who know how to TIG weld. Okay, but we're building a ship. We have to have really solid welds that go really deep into the metal. I know all about this because my wife gave me a big tirade about it. And you know, when you're welding a ship hull, you don't use a TIG welder, you use MIG welding, apparently. So I mean, imagine a shipyard building company going, well, we only have TIG welders, so we're going to make this aircraft carrier, the whole of it, we're going to TIG weld the whole hull because we only have TIG welders. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. You would never do that. I'm just so sorry. You would never ever do that. That is so stupid. But yet this company's like, we only have TypeScript programmers, therefore we're going to change the entire design of our application to use TypeScript. Oh my God. Oh. Oh, I needed that. This has been a really good walk. This has been a nice... I just love laughing at this stupidity. I mean, people spend billions of dollars on mistakes like this, and they just think it's fine. Hey, Karina, how are you? It's the same for people looking for developers with 10 years of language experience, only have 5. Yeah, that's a common one, right? That's a pretty old one. What's that? One of them is your brother-in-law, knows Fortran, Basic, Java, etc., but not C++, C#, and his only trust in Go. Well, I mean, Go, he's probably excited about Go, and everybody goes through that, right? They go through that moment where they're super excited about a new language, and because of their excitement kind of jades their rationality, and that has happened to me. That happened to me with Ruby. I did not want to hear how slow Ruby was because I loved it so much. 2007, you couldn't tell me anything was wrong with Ruby at all. I wouldn't listen to it. And slowly I was like, oh, and this inheritance is kind of bad, and you know, right tool for the job. And Go is the right tool for a lot more jobs. It's a more general, it's like a claw hammer. It's a more general purpose language. That's why I say it's more like Python. C, I don't think anybody's going to tell you C is a general, I guess C is a general purpose language, but it's a much lower level general purpose language, right? So Go is a nice higher level general purpose language without going so high level that you can't install shit anywhere because you have to have the full exact Python environment in order to run the code, which is the end of interpreted environments. This is why nobody wants interpreted, unless you have a server and a container and you're guaranteed to have the control over the environment. And even then, somebody's going to pull some NPM shit on you. Did you just guys see the NPM like hack? They hacked all the NPM, the OAuth credentials for NPM, and everybody just like walking all over NPM. Oh my God, it's so terrifying. It's so terrifying. I mean, it was already bad enough when people who made NPM modules deliberately decided to sabotage software because of their political agenda, whatever it was, and they decided to get rid of it. And that was already a thing. And now they had, how many was it? It was like 20,000 or something OAuth credentials for NPM projects. It's like, so somebody cracked into GitHub and broke into NPM. And by the way, all this stuff was stored in flat text. And if they didn't learn a lesson in security, I don't know how you can teach it to them after that. Every replaced, used everywhere. C's not going anywhere. Yeah. C's not going anywhere. Is a TypeScripter? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry you felt sick. Yeah, go out and get in some sun. And we're here to help you if you want, as best we can. Believe me, I know. I mean, I feel that way too. I've been kind of, mostly because I let myself, health-wise, I let myself go because I just coded so much for those 2 months, and my body just really paid the price. I'm trying to recoup. We do another small lap. The problem was when I get up and go walking, I don't want to stop walking. I don't. I get addicted to walking. It's like, do I really have to go to work? Hey, sewer. Yeah. Configure system. Oh, cool. He wants me to get into Go. I agree. I agree with getting into Go. I think learning Bash, Linux, Bash, and Go, and you'll be set. If you already know C and C++, I don't think you're going to lose time with Go at all. Yeah. The thing with Go is, okay, so I would, well, here I really don't know, but I wonder how many jobs there are for C compared to Go. What would you think? I think there's probably more Go jobs than there are C jobs, but I have no evidence for that. There's tons and tons of JavaScript jobs, but do you want them? You know, there's tons of jobs that use Go that don't tell you need to know Go. Like the reason I like Go is because it's an operations language. Like if you get into cloud native computing or cybersecurity, Go is the leading language for cybersecurity right now. Everybody's writing everything in it. I just found another tool that was written in Go for cybersecurity. I mean, there's established tools like Burp Suite that are in Java that aren't going anywhere, but pretty much all the new tooling is being written in Go. So, yeah, it is boring. That's why people love it. And that's why I love it. Boring is good if you're an enterprise. You know? It's not cool. It's not fancy, you know. Fancy gets you all the Perl shit that happened. And by the way, I didn't write that code. My Perl is pretty basic, except for my classes Pragma, which is more of an extension to Perl itself. So yeah. All good stuff though. Good stuff. Look, another reason I like Go is because I am more of an operations guy, and I can go read the Go code for the stuff that I'm installing and using every day. And I think if you're an operations person, okay, so again, this is, you know, when people ask you what do you think, I really want to be sure they understand where I'm coming from, because I have different priorities. I have totally different priorities from a software developer. My priorities are being like a kick-ass operations and security guy. So, for example, and by the way, mostly on the back end stuff. So, you know, if you're going to say you're a pen tester, you got to know SQL and JavaScript and stuff, right? Cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, that kind of thing. If you're going to be like a front-end pen tester or break-in, and the most common way to break in is not through a printer port or telnet anymore. Now it's, or FTP, it's through web stuff, right? So you have to really know all of the web stuff if you want to break in, if you're, you know, front-end person. But if you're doing back-end security and stuff, then REST APIs and stuff like that, it's different. It's a completely different tool set. As much as Node would like to tell you that it's the same tool set, Node here and Node on the JavaScript front and back, it's really not. It's a different tool set. Yeah, Ruby, Metasploit is written in Ruby mostly, but that's kind of getting changed. That's going to be there forever. Nobody's going to rewrite most of Metasploit. Metasploit has massive amounts of Ruby in it. And they made the decision, they wrote a huge long page on Metasploit, you can go to the site and read about it, about why they chose to do Metasploit in Ruby instead of Perl. They were going to do it in Perl and they decided not to. Perl is still a great security language because it's already on the system. Some systems are removing it finally because it's a security risk. So is Ed, by the way, which also has a shell in it. There's a TryHackMe level the guy was doing the other day. Siren, I think, person, and they needed to elevate it to get into a shell, a TTY shell, and they did it. I can't remember if they did it with Ed or VI, because it comes with, you got to get yourself a true shell at some point. Yeah, Metasploit Ruby. Perl looks like line noise. It depends on how Perl's written. Yeah, Perl's contextual. Perl's actually pretty damn close to like a functional language if you do it so that it's feeding into itself kind of thing. Perl's meant to be written quickly. That's why people hate it. It was never, ever the intention of Perl to write system software. No. It was supposed to replace awk. It was meant to be written quickly. That's why hackers love it. And Go is not meant to be written quickly. Go. That's why Go is kind of like Python. It's kind of in that middle area. It's meant to write stuff that's going to last for a while, but can be written quickly, relatively quickly. Like, you wouldn't rewrite your awk script in Go. I mean, you could, but it'd be lots more lines of code, right? Yeah, Perl gets a bad name, and I've made videos on this and everything. Perl gets a bad name because it was used for the wrong thing. You had C, Bourne Shell, or Perl, if you wanted to process anything dynamically on the web, anything. There was no JavaScript. And so Perl won. And people started implementing, massive projects in Perl, all these web projects and everything, and it became the darling back-end language, and people set up automations with it and stuff like that. So all these hacks, Perl is a hacker language. It's not meant to be a systems language. Never was. Yeah. Yeah, people love that joke. Right, once or no. Yeah, it's not true, but it's a funny joke. If you can't read Perl, it's just because you're a bad programmer. Honestly, it's not that hard to read. Even the dense stuff. Oh, I use regular expressions in a contextual notation. Yeah. There's JavaScript that I've read that is way fucking worse than Perl. Any Perl I've ever seen. Dude, you think... if you think Perl is harder to read than a bunch of async, await, sync shit that you see in any concurrent programming in JavaScript, or any of the callback loop hell from JavaScript, I beg to differ. They are and I've seen comprehension shit in Python that would make any bad Perl code look beautiful. You can write horrible, horrible code in any language, and it's not even easier in Perl. People were just prone to do it in Perl more because the people writing the Perl code, a lot of them were also systems people, and they're used to writing stuff quickly. So that's my take on it. Yeah. 22K lines of Perl. And it was able to run itself without Perl installation on the system. How? Did you do Perl.exe compilation? That's what we did. It embedded a Perl interpreter with it. It was basically Python VM, but for Perl, without calling it that. Way ahead of its time. But that's why people use Go for all that stuff now. Why? Why? Because it's boring. Anybody can read Go. You cannot write hard to read Go. It's almost impossible. I mean, you can fuck around with the naming and stuff, right? I mean, seriously, it is really, really hard to write code that cannot be deciphered in Go. And that's one of the reasons they don't do exceptions. because they want to force your code to be readable. They really do. They're like, you know what, fuck that. We're gonna make you make good code. Python had that same intention, but they pretty much stopped at the forced indentation of whitespace, which is a big mistake. And they also said, nope, no anonymous functions, forget it. Unless it's a one-line lambda, no anonymous functions. That was also a huge mistake. And Guido even says so. Go read the quote. Guido hates his own language now. I'm not even kidding, I'm going to read it to you. Here. That's Guido's own words about Python. So if you need any further evidence, Guido literally is saying TypeScript does it better than Python. And at this point I would agree. I mean, if you're going to write code and you have to pick between TypeScript or Python, unless you're doing machine learning and you need all that, you need the TensorFlow library, which is why people do. It has nothing to do with Python. It just has to do with Python having TensorFlow in it, and then having a huge code base that already does it because it's academics and stuff. TypeScript. Guido will never admit that Go is the best possible version of that, but that it is. It absolutely is. The one thing that Go brought to the table that no other language has is the untyped type. That is the most genius thing I can imagine to put into a language. I mean, it was so perfect because what it said is, okay, we have a situation where we don't want to fuck with the type. So that element of interpreted languages where, you know, it's not strictly typed, so you can throw things around with all the other scaffolding for strictly typed language. And so they now have the any type. Go is the only language I know of that has it. Maybe another one has, I don't know. Someone knows, let me know. So what that means is that they can declare an argument as any, and then they can deal with what type it is. They can even switch on the type. So they can throw that thing around, pass it around through functions and everything, and then when they finally want to deal with the type, they can ask themselves, okay, what type of thing is this? And they can switch on the type. That is fucking brilliant. That is not in any other language ever. And the thing that's so brilliant about it is that it puts Go, well, as Void, is Void one of them? Is it exactly the same? If it is, then I didn't know, but I guess maybe that's it. Maybe that's what they wanted to do. I mean, I don't know. I mean, can you cast Void to something else? I guess you can, right? I guess you could. My point is that it's kind of intentional, right? So it's like you're going to pass this around, and then at the end you're going to do it. Now, there's a case for generics now. I get it, and I use them now. And I was kind of anti-generic before, but now I'm kind of on board. But you find a good, reliable GUI toolkit, you'll never find one because that's not the core place of Go. Qt and yeah, managed to get yeah. You're never going to find a good GUI toolkit. The best one is there's a bunch of non-Qt things that are out there. There's yeah, it's because it's not the core. There's not a lot of people in that space doing GUI kits for it. It's more like, you know what you should try is to do an Electron replacement in Go. Because, so this is the thing that if you're going to make a GUI application in Go, make it so it uses the onboard web browser. Unless you're writing, like, you know, dashboard software or something. Because this is why. Because Go is like the darling of the REST, you know, API community. It's the darling of the REST API community. And for that reason, it has a lot of server-side goodness. So let me give you an example. Go has something called the embedded FS. And I don't know of any other language that has one. That means that you can bundle assets in the asset fork, kind of like a Mac app, of a binary, and you can serve them, and you can code using the FS, and it's just like any other file or directory. And so basically what that means is that you can bundle your entire server and all of its assets into a single binary, and then the binary can launch the web browser on the computer instead of Electron forcing the inclusion of an entire embedded web browser. So you can reuse it. I haven't written one yet, but that is the best possible solution, because now you get all the power and advantage of a web application, right? You get all the power and advantage of a web application, but you're leveraging the web application that's on the machine and it's running locally. And then you just run a server on localhost. The Bellabox UI uses exactly that. That's exactly what it does. The Bellabox UI app is so cool. But it's actually on a server, but still. Anyway. I just want to walk some more. I really do. Can I keep walking? Can I do another lap? I'm gonna do one more lap. I'm gonna do one more lap. I just don't want to go back in yet. It's so beautiful out here. It's like 7:30. I just don't want to. Everybody's heading off to school and work and everything. You seeing this? I guess everybody's finally kind of waking up. Qt has such an asset manager system. A lot of other C++ library can do that. Yeah. The embedded stuff, yeah, I'm sure they've done it before. It's just I just don't think it as being as easy as embedded FS. And in embedded FS, all you have to do is you write one line. There's a one-line pragma called embed, and you write the file name, or you write embed and you write the directory name, and that file adds the entire directory during go build to the binary. Seriously, that's how easy it is. So you create an assets directory, let's say, inside of you create like an assets directory inside of your development tree, or however you want to do it. And then you just make a file, or use another one of the files, and then just say embed, go:/embed space assets, and that whole entire directory will go in to the binary, and then all the code in the binary anywhere can use the file system by just referring to that file system thing. So, yeah, but here's the thing. If you've ever done any amount of like Qt programming or KDE, then you know that at some point you're using a different markup language, you know, like Qt or whatever. And as soon as you start doing that, as soon as you start like using another language, you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this? When you're doing graphic interface programming, there's nothing better than the web. I'm sorry, unless you have a real demand for a bunch of really smooth animating widgets, or you're making a mobile app. You know, you're going to end up. I mean, the whole reason that Qt was eventually forced to embed their own web client and web browser, you know, they have their whole web library in there, is because people are so used to doing web development. And there are so many libraries for web development. So I need to actually do one of those. I need to test this out. Actually, what I don't know is, I'm gonna walk down to the school and back, just because that's a nice school. You're making the mask, yeah. But if you see what it renders, it's all markup, right? They have their own Qt markup language. And that's the point I'm making. Is it's like, if you're doing a substantial amount of GUI programming in Qt, look, if you're using Qt or KDE, and all the car dashboards here, all these cars, they all have Qt in them. Qt is like the leading dashboard language. It is. They write that stuff all in C, and so like, you know, your dashboard on your car, all that stuff is all usually Qt, and that's why they're like a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah, and WX widgets. So I mean, if you're going to do graphic stuff, it's just a different approach, right? I guess my point is that when it comes to graphics programming, you know, graphics UI programming, the web has pretty much become the dominant factor there, and you're always going to have web stuff. You have to deal with all the Qt licensing shit. I mean, Qt is the leading non-web based, you know, widget library, but you have to fuck around with the licensing. I mean, it's horrible, right? Which country? Hi there. We are in America. America. Yeah, this is where North Carolina. North Carolina, everybody's heading off to work. I'm just out walking. Why do people throw their shit everywhere too? Oh, like right there? That's like a spot that's, for some reason, people feel like they can throw their trash. I need to go pick it up. I got a trash picker upper to try to help do my part, you know. We're gonna walk a little bit here. I walked through a spider web. I walked through a spider web there. I think linear is better. I changed my camera to linear instead of wide, and I'm actually really happy with it. It doesn't have a lot of distortion. Coffee, work. Yes. I'm gonna go I have my coffee. I want to go have some more though. I'm gonna go back and have a quick little shower, drink some coffee, write some code, do my thing. The program talk if you want to talk about it. Well, yeah, I mean, you can. I'm here every day. I'm pretty much a 24-hour streamer these days. Yeah, I'm actually going to start streaming me making coffee and doing shit like that. Because my IRL kit's is like kind of solid now. And I have the bandwidth, so. Yeah, other people want to do a lot more IRL. No. Then it removes the fisheye. Yeah. I mean, I mean, there are disadvantages to losing linear, obviously, but I think I like it. I mean, it depends. Like if I was cycling and I had big old vistas to show people and stuff, I would probably do it that way. But I mean, this is closer to an IRL experience. Most people, God, I saw some IRL streamers the other day with their phone with no motion, no gimbal or anything, and they had like 1,000 people watching them. It's like people going off to school. I love it. It's so cute. So cute. Morning. She smells good. Wow, she smells really good. I probably don't smell good. Although I did have a shower before this walk. I put cologne on, so maybe I don't smell horrible. If you can't tell, this is a much nicer apartment complex we're walking through right now. Your little brother? Yeah. Oh. God, it's just so beautiful here. I just have such a hard... When the weather is this good, it is so hard for me to stay inside. I know I need to stay inside and write code. I'm going to do it. I told everybody that, you know, as long as I get my code, and I get my code in, I do my thing, that I can use the daytime, particularly the morning, because like afternoon, it's supposed to be like 96 degrees today. You know? So if you have the choice of going out in the morning and walking around till like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock from 5 to 10, or you're going to do it at night, I'm figuring stuff out here. This is why I do this, blogging. What I'm going to do, I'll do my yoga indoors when it's hot, or I'll do it out in the backyard and get suntan. I'm not streaming that shit though. Not yet anyway. I'm too fat. Nobody wants to see that. And yeah. And then in the morning I can go for these nice walks while it's still nice and cool out. And watch the sunrise and listen to the birds. You got advertising spam? Uh-oh. A bunch of grocery stores spammed. Lol. Wow, look at those cars. You seeing that? Seeing those cars? That's some fancy ass paint job right there. I don't think I've ever liked those slingshots though. Hey, there's a Davidson police officer lives here. It's pretty common. Where's the little doggy? And girl doesn't want to be filmed, clearly. She's walking her dog. There's something about the apartment complexes in the area here, because I think it's because I like it because they have young people in them, you know? And I know that sounds really stupid, but you know, people get established and move up to the suburbs, or they move into higher, you know, fancy ass urban apartments and stuff. There's just something about an apartment complex that you just don't get when you live even in a suburb, you know? I can't quite put my finger on it. It's not like, oh god, that's some pretty seriously bad mud there. I mean, I have the right shoes today, but whatever. Yeah. What does spam smell like? What does spam smell like? I still have this spider web on me. I got bit the other day behind my knee. The next day it was like swollen. I was like, what bit me? Wow, I got footprints, some kind of animal prints here. Always actually human prints. Kids going off to school, I assume. What are you talking about? Are you a bot? Are you sure you're not a bot? You're a Prime sub, apparently. What about the frogs? Are there any frogs today? Yeah, we got the tadpoles, but no frogs yet. Lots of tadpoles today. No frogs. Not a bot. A lot of tadpoles. It's kind of fun. Oh, there's a baby. Oh, it's a grasshopper. Grasshoppers already? Shit. That's a big thing in Utah. There's lots of grasshoppers in Utah. I mean, you start to sound like a bot there. No offense. You're like waxing philosophical like a bot kind of does sometimes. You know? Well, is that a bat? Yeah, it is. That's a bat. You see that? There's a bat up there. There is so much wildlife in North Carolina. It's insane. It is. It's a bat. He's like totally eating all the insects. You could see right through his wings. His wings were translucent. That was crazy. There he is. There he is. Here he comes. See him? See him? There he goes. That is not a bird. That is a bat. That is a bat on patrol. Look at him. He's going by the pond. He's coming back. He's coming back. Maybe he'll fly by us because he's blind and all. Yep, here he comes. There he goes. See him? Oh, is that a sparrow? No, is it a sparrow or is it a bat? I don't know. It looks so... It could maybe be a sparrow. It's flying like a bat, though. You like these streams? I do like the daylight. I'm going to do this a lot more, by the way. Because it makes me happy, and I like using daylight for daylight good. I can always code at night, you know? So, and I don't miss meetings. I go to my meetings and get my work done. Make sure things are not blown up. $22. What, my stream? I kind of like that they... Hey, how's it going? MX Maxime. Yeah, I'm a small time streamer. I don't aspire to be much more. I don't feel bad about it. I kind of like my tiny little community. I don't know what I would do if I had like I watch Rob CD, for example, with 2,000 people, and it's just a constant stream, you know. I mean, I would be okay with it. It's just, you know. Yeah. Yep. I'm just covering the morning patrol, morning daylight patrol. We'll go see how everybody starts their day in America, in this tiny little town of Mooresville. Not too tiny, it's getting huge actually. I do like streaming this morning hour though, because it's a good way to see everybody, you know, doing their thing. Like taking their kids to school. No, it's not a bat. It's a sparrow, but it's like he's hunting in the air though. He's like grabbing insects out of the air like a bat. He's flying erratically like a bat. You see the bats at dusk, by the way. They're fun. If you like throw a stick in the air, they'll chase it to the ground. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice. Let's see how long it takes for somebody to ask the normal question. I need a counter for every time somebody asks it. When I come out to this road, does anybody know what it is? The most common question I get when I IRL stream of all. It's by far my most common question. I guess second to wherever you're streaming from. All right. You think it's a sparrow? I mean, it might be a swift. I think you might be right. I think you're right. Yeah, if its flying pattern was like a bat. Yeah. So here comes the most common question I get. Where are the fucking sidewalks? And the answer is there aren't any, because it's America. All these people are going to high school. And I really don't want to cover this anymore. It like stresses me out. Makes me angry. It stresses me out, makes me angry. I'm like, why the fuck do we not have sidewalks? Because why are you walking? Are you poor? Are you poor? Do you not have a car? No, I just like to fucking walk. I got 2 cars. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at this imaginary person in my head. I'm yelling at the imaginary person in my head. It tells me. I know. It's like, look. That all those kids, all those people, they're all teenagers. See, there goes the school bus. They're all going to school. How many people can actually walk to school without getting killed? They'll say, oh, you need to walk on the grass over there. Stay in a safe distance from the road. It's not you need to stay away from the cars. And it's like, just a friendly reminder, the roads were built for pedestrians first. And it took a car company, I think it was Ford, to come along and demonize people for getting killed in the streets and call them jaywalkers, which was like calling them the N-word back then. And ever since then, cars have the right of way. They took over the roads. If you're a pedestrian and you're on the road, it's your fault for getting dead. I just think it's so funny. It's like humanity is totally sold itself out to automobiles, and I get it. I mean, you need an automobile to get around and stuff. But you visited your girlfriend in the U.S. No sidewalks, super thin. I know. I can't even bike on those roads. There is literally a 2-inch bit of pavement between the line and the grass or the mud. And oftentimes the grass or the mud has huge cavernous like gaps in it because cars have gone off the road and they repeatedly at that spot and they've broken it down. So if you're like riding a mountain bike even, I'll tell you what though, I have considered getting yeah, I don't like cars. We can talk about cars all day. I like them, but I don't like them. I enjoy riding. It's like a love-hate thing, you know? Do I like the experience of driving my manual stick, BMW engine in my Mini? Hell yeah, it was so much fun. I understand the appeal. Do I think that all of our society should have a car? If you don't have a car, you can't be a human being in America, just like you can't be a human being if you don't have a smartphone? No, I wish we would not do that, but as long as there's money in it, people will do it. And there's lots of money in it. I saw a thing from Elon Musk on Tesla that actually changed my opinion of Elon Musk slightly. I did. It was kind of interesting. He made a quote. I mean, he was quoted as saying that the reason he made Tesla and he opened the patents for all the Tesla engines and stuff was deliberately to force competition in the industry so that the rest of the automakers would come on board and do things. And whether he's lying to take credit for something he did that actually happened or it's the truth, I don't care, because that's exactly what happened. Tesla came out, they said, here are our patents on all of our battery technology. They gave them away, and within 5 years, every other company declared that they were going to have at least a hybrid and they weren't going to do full gas engines anymore. And he said, truly, if Tesla goes out of business because of it, he says, I don't care, it will have served its purpose. And I find that really, really, really fascinating. That's the first time I've actually heard of the idea of starting a disruptive startup with the intent of it changing the industry and then fading away. To me, that's really, really awesome. The fact, if Elon Musk actually thought of it that way, because that's what he did with PayPal too. With PayPal, he came in, he said to all the big banks, hey, guess what, guys? Y'all suck at this online transaction stuff. I don't know if he did it on purpose or what, but I'll tell you what, the end result worked. PayPal to this day is still the dominant online payment system. And every other bank got in line after PayPal put the pressure on. I think it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. If Elon Musk, yeah, everything's fast. If Elon Musk actually intentionally created those startups to disrupt the industry and force everybody to change, and if that truly is the definition of disrupt, which gets thrown around a lot in Silicon Valley, then I'm a believer. I am a total believer of that. I think that's amazing. In fact, it's really changed my opinion. I wish it had changed my opinion a lot earlier, because I went into education to disrupt the education industry. I'm like, no, I'm going to teach people that one-on-one mentoring enough. If I had just organized it better so that, you know, mentors could actually find each other. I had a mentor me domain at one point. It's been taken, and if I could have made it so that all of education, if I could have destigmatized apprenticeship style education, which is usually associated with trade crafts like carpentry and stuff like that, which it really isn't. You can do it with software or anything. That would have been my intent, but I didn't go in it. I didn't go into it. I went into it to help people. I didn't go into it with the intent of, you know, of disrupting the industry really bad and getting out. If I had done that, I might have been willing to accept venture capital. Yeah. Yeah. Disrupt. Yeah. I seriously, you know, I have a hard time accepting venture capital and the whole venture capital idea, because it's pretty much just the worst of stock people, you know. But, you know, I'm a little old for this now. I could probably still try it. But if I had truly seen what I just realized this week, my wife actually brought it to my attention, and then I read it in a different blog post at the same time. The whole idea of like disrupting the industry for good, like going into an industry and fucking with it so bad that you force the industry to get on board and think differently about things. If I had had that is the most ethical justification for Silicon Valley venture capitalized firms that I can possibly imagine. And, you know, here's the thing. Stock people destroy themselves, yes. So, and it's, I mean, you know, so I was wrong. I'm going to tell you what I was really wrong about. Anybody in Silicon Valley seeking venture capital, even if it's like girls who code or things like that, is dirty because they're all trying to get rich And that's not true. And, you know, I have seen so many people just, in fact, Silicon Valley, the series on HBO, the comedy series, has made a whole point of satirizing, and we're changing the world through blah, 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 right? They totally satirize the fact that every money-grubbing asshole in Silicon Valley justifies what they do as disrupting the world and making it a better place. And that is what I believe. I'm cynical. I believe that like everybody in Silicon Valley is out for a buck and they're just justifying it. But if even one company, look, Elon Musk was trying to get rich, but at the same time, he also forced a bunch of companies to get in line and up their game on the electric car thing. That you could just yeah. I want to play. I want to ante into that poker game. I'll be there to do my own philanthropy. I'm going to be able to do that. And so, time money my whole life. So, no internet. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry. I don't know why it's doing that. Check. Dip down quite a bit. Sorry about that. You know what? We're getting bad internet. You seeing it? Yeah. I don't know why that is, but we hit a hole there, sorry. No, I have good internet. It's just
don't get in trouble.
No. We hit a hole there, sorry. Looks like we're out of it. Looks like we're out of it. Yeah, sorry about that. Are we back in it again? That was like a hole there. You know what it is? Everybody's up.
With them white vans. It was like watching Rob on a VHS.
Yeah. It's, you know what's happening? Everybody's up now. So like all the kids are on their cell phones. Everybody's on their cell phone right now.
Okay, now review your whole last part of what you said.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. The reason it's happening is because it's 8 o'clock. Like everybody is on their cell phone right now. All the kids are up. Like all the cell tower that's over by the high school is completely overrun. And we have cars. I need to set up my other USB adapter. If I can tether my modem, and then that will not happen again. Because even with a ton of people online, I'll still have 4 redundant modem connections. So I would really want to see if that would even stop that from happening. What was I talking about? I was just talking about the whole disrupting thing. And how this idea that money isn't bad if you use it for good is kind of entered my brain, even though it's kind of late. I'm kind of old.
That is a problem over there. I never experienced that here.
Oh, you were talking about Wi-Fi? Yeah. So my save the AR-15. You fucking kidding me? Idiot.
More stable.
I don't know. It's no. It's the cell phone tech. I mean, the thing that's crazy about that is I actually have 3 bonded internet modem connections, and I still dropped under 200 kilobits per second. That's how bad of a thing it was. I have the most robust.
Wi-Fi and mobile data.
I have mobile data. I had 3 redundantly bonded Wi-Fi connections, and they all dipped out. It could be that the connection got bumped. That's also a possibility, but it's not doing it anymore. So I think maybe that was just a hole in the system.
Need to consume more picky. I see.
Yeah. I think, well, the problem is that there's, as usual in America, there's not enough infrastructure. So right now, all those kids, everybody at that parking spot and all of the high school, they're all on one cell tower. And so what happened was, even though I have 3 modems, all 3 of those modems were all on the same tower. Now, I'm really lucky when the modems like pick a different tower. That's why you get 3 modems, so that they'll like pick different towers and you get like consistent results, you know. But in that case, you know, they didn't really do that. They didn't do their job. I wonder if I'd had, because the 3 accounts that I have right now are all AT&T. I wonder if I had the Verizon tethered on USB when you'd be hiking. I have a feeling though that if I had tethered my Verizon, just out of curiosity, I wonder if it would have maintained its connection. But I have a feeling that they all still share the same cell towers. They all have the same cell towers, they're just on different channels. The different providers are on different channels. So, I mean, it's such a racket, it really is. So, and AT&T provides most of the towers, period. Verizon doesn't have any of their own towers, period. They use AT&T's towers. That's been that way for a long time, actually. AT&T has had this whole thing about selling, you know, the biggest network in the world and blah, blah, it's all bullshit. They all use the same infrastructure. Sprint tried to make its own infrastructure and then it completely tanked. But they're all renting. So when they say they have the greatest network in the world, I don't understand what they're saying, because, you know, they got to rent time on all these towers. All the I mean, I went on a tour from AT&T, and all of the phone lines are AT&T phone lines. It's like when you buy broadband or something like that from a cable company or any other company or whatever. Actually, that's different because it's different tech, but they're all subcontracted through AT&T. They're all just employees of AT&T at the end of the day, because AT&T was the original big ma that built everything out. And some people said they built their own cell tower network. I think Sprint is the only one. So anyway, yeah. But I was just basically saying that because this whole Elon Musk thing, saying, look, I made Tesla and opened my patents not to get rich, even though I did get rich. He didn't say that, but because I wanted to force other people to come into the market and rethink everything and make it better. That's the definition of disrupt. It's not some, you know, cliche from Silicon Valley. It's actually a thing. And if I could get venture capital to disrupt education by forcing, you know, academia to pay for people to mentoring who actually know the stuff, you know, or rethinking boot camps or whatever, you know, then that might be a legitimate use. Look at the Tomcats. That might be actually a legitimate use of venture capital funds from Silicon Valley, and I could get over my problem with the misuse of Silicon Valley venture capital, which is usually, hey, let's burn up all our swag with our first 4 million, make it rich, and then get out. And then we'll pursue other interests. Hey, feral kitty cat, how are you, buddy? You're not going anywhere, huh? He's like, he's on a mission, man. It must be a tomcat. He's like, you're in my hood. That cat was not scared at all. That cat's like, dude, you're in my hood. What are you doing here? Meanwhile, Norway. Yeah. They share with both? Interesting. All right, we reached the end of our morning. Go freshen up, grab a drink. I'll be at work. I'm probably going to be co-working off screen for most of the day today, but I'll have music on. So if somebody just wants to vibe, I have such a hard time saying that word. Everybody says vibe these days, and I'm like, oh my God, is this the 1970s all over again? We're going to bring back the word vibe? And they don't even know. We already did the vibe thing. I have such a hard time using that word. I just really do. Yeah, oh God, yeah. You kidding me? Yeah, it was a thing in the 70s and they brought it back and I'm like, oh my God, are we gonna do that? They don't even know. That's how far it's gone. I mean, but how many times have we worn flares and gone back to it? You know what I mean? I have to go now. So, time for me to say goodbye. I'll see you in a bit.